Hi, it's going for 9 p.m. Pacific time on Friday, November 7th, and I'm sorry that I'm so late filming this. I had a really busy evening. I was at an event where a bunch of us, some folks I knew and some folks I didn't, were getting together to make Whistle Brigade kits. And then I came home and I had to real quick eat a noodle bowl. That's how dinners go a lot around here lately, and then help my kids with homework. So I'm just now getting around to filming this story that broke, oh gosh, like 3-4 hours ago. And yeah, it's late and I should maybe go to bed or at least, relax with a book or something. But no, I had to take a little bit of time and cover this story because it's too good. It's too good to save it for tomorrow. Earlier this evening, federal judge Karen Immergut, who is a Trump appointee, by the way, permanently blocked Donald Trump from deploying National Guard troops to Portland. This is something that I think, we in Portland have kind of collectively been holding our breath on for quite a while now. And this is why I say, do not let Donald Trump future fake you. Because he told us from the beginning, I can put troops in Portland. I can do that. Nobody can stop me. It's going to happen. I'm going to put troops here. Y'all can't do anything about it. Our mayor, our city council, our chief of police, our governor, our congresswomen, our senators, our attorney general all said, no, there is no reason for this. We don't want this. This is a violation of states' rights. You can't come here. You can't put federal troops in our city. We don't want that, and we don't need it. And Donald Trump was like, I can do whatever I want. If you had fallen for the future faking, you would have just been like, okay, I guess he said it, so I guess it's a thing that he gets to do now. That's what future faking is. It is when a narcissist or any other kind of terrible would-be, dictator or somebody who is trying to control you makes you think that they have already written the future, that the future is predetermined and it will be whatever they want it to be. And you can't do anything to stop them and you don't have a say in what happens. It is fooling you into thinking, however, whether it's your rational brain or they're tricking your anxiety brain into believing that the future is a known quantity, it is written when that is not true. I want to talk some more over the weekend about the chapter from Timothy Snyder's book on unpredictability. The book is on freedom, but the chapter is on unpredictability. Because this is one of the things that we have got to remember is that the future actually is unpredictable. We can learn from the lessons of history, but history doesn't neatly repeat itself. And because something happened in the past, that doesn't mean that it's predestined to happen in the future. And gosh, maybe this is one of the times that my Calvinist baggage is a benefit to me because, I grew up with this concept of predestination. Calvinist predestination is this belief that God has chosen some and not others. Right, in the Westminster Confession, we are taught that God freely and unchangeably ordains whatsoever comes to pass. The future is kind of already scripted out for us, and for me, that was something that I always really struggled with. And my rejection of that doctrine serves me well right now because you are not going to convince me that the future is predestined. I have deconstructed from that shit. You are not going to convince me that the future is already written, and you're definitely not going to convince me that Donald Trump is the one who has written it. So when Donald Trump said, I'm going to put troops in Portland and y'all can't stop me, too many people in my comments were like, oh, he's going to be able to do this thing. And I was like, well, not if people are stopping him. He's definitely going to be able to do that thing if nobody resists, if nobody pushes back. But thank goodness our attorney general was he was ready to go with litigation, right? He's been preparing for that stuff since January. It is because so many good people refuse to accept Donald Trump's future faking that we are successfully fighting back against fascism. It is because people are refusing to accept that Donald Trump gets to write our future that there is now a permanent block on Donald Trump being able to send National Guard troops to Portland. So let's actually look at what went down today in this timeline that Donald Trump did not predict. According to Oregon Public Broadcasting, Donald Trump was permanently blocked from sending the National Guard to Portland by U.S. District Court Judge Karen Immergut, who delivered her final order in the case today. The case centered around whether ongoing protests outside the U.S. ICE and Customs Enforcement building on Macadam Avenue in the city warrant a National Guard deployment. In her ruling, she acknowledged violent protests did occur in June, but law enforcement was able to address them. And I would have to look at the details, but I think the court's assessment of violent is when there were windows smashed. Destruction of property is what happened. I didn't hear any instances of ICE agents being physically assaulted. Lots of instances of ICE assaulting protesters, though. Okay, but anyway, this was way back in June. Since that brief span of a few days in June, the protests outside the Portland ICE facility have been predominantly peaceful, with only isolated and sporadic instances of relatively low-level violence, largely between counter-protesters and protesters. Right, because MAGA agitators are down there trying to stoke violence. If there were not MAGA influencers with their phones out, hoping to create propaganda footage for the regime or something that they could turn into content for their social media platforms, there wouldn't be violence down there. Well, except for the violence that ICE is instigating against peaceful protesters exercising their First Amendment rights. But in her 106-page order, the judge said, this court concludes that even giving great deference to the president's determination, the president did not have a lawful basis to federalize the National Guard. The permanent injunction went into effect immediately. Of course, Donald Trump's attorneys with the US DOJ disagreed, pointing to the arrest of several protesters throughout the summer and disruptions of federal immigration operations. Right, we have video footage, some of it was submitted in court, of ICE being the ones that instigate violence. ICE tackling peaceful protesters and then drumming up assault and resisting arrest charges. Yeah, sure, people are being arrested down there. Is it legal? Is it lawful? DOJ lawyer Eric Hamilton put his name in the book for the Day of Accountability, said President Trump's federalization decision is consistent with law. No, it's not. That's why the judge said it was not lawful. This is the sweeping unitary executive theory. This is the wanting to make Donald Trump into a king. The DOJ lawyer Eric Hamilton went on to say the president's judgment is not subject to judicial review. Fuck you. Donald Trump is not a king. We have no kings in America. To pretend that the president's judgment is not subject to any judicial review and that he can do whatever he wants in direct violation of the law and nobody, especially not the courts, can stop him. I know this has been like the consistent messaging that he's tried to put forward as he's tried to future fake the entire country into thinking that the courts have no ability to check him, that checks and balances no longer exist. But that's simply not true. Judge Immergut today showed that checks and balances do exist. And Donald Trump doesn't want to be checked. He doesn't want his extreme authoritarian agenda checked. He does not want his power checked. He wants to be a king. An aging, brittle, deeply sad, sundowning king, but a king nonetheless. As of the publishing of this article, the White House had not responded to Oregon Public Broadcasting in their request for a comment. I do think it's really interesting here. So the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals had told Judge Immergut when they shut down her initial ruling that she had to show deference, I believe, for Donald Trump as president. Here it is, giving great deference to the president's determination. And so in her ruling, she was very clear that she did just that, and even so found there was insufficient cause to have the National Guard sent into Portland. I am baffled by right-wing members on the court. I understand they have an agenda. I'm baffled by this desire to have extreme deference for the president. Such extreme deference as to try and make him into a king. I don't understand what drives that from SCOTUS. I don't really understand that legal theory at all. Again, maybe it's like my deconstructed Calvinist position that I have here and all of my past baggage. There is something within me that rebels incredibly strongly at even the barest hint that we have a king in the United States. This is a country of, by, and for the people. We, the people of the United States. We establish justice. We promote the general welfare. We secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and for those who come after us, right? Like in this moment, Judge Immergut has done just that. She has defended the Constitution. Her ruling not only is a win for Portland, for our safety, for our security, it is a win for this entire nation. Here is somebody, a Trump-appointed judge, who is willing to stand up and say, I will defend the Constitution. I will make sure that justice is not only established, but maintained here. So grateful for this ruling and what I've seen so far from lawyers on social media talking about it. It's a well-written ruling, well-reasoned. This is a win for us. This is a win for all of us, for Portland, for America, for the future of our democracy. So I don't know about you, but I'm going to sleep a little bit better tonight. Thankful that in this instance, because we refused to lay down and let Donald Trump determine what our future was, the rule of law has been upheld.